media. I trust that you had a very good Easter weekend. The post-cabinet press briefing will cover matters that were dealt with at cabinet at its meeting of Tuesday, 11th of April, 2017. At that meeting, a draft white paper on the future of the sugar industry in Guyana was submitted to Cabinet by the Honorable Minister of Agriculture for its consideration. Cabinet discussed the submissions in the draft white paper and granted its approval for the paper to be laid in the National Assembly at the next sitting of the National Assembly. Approval was given for the funding for drainage works to be done in the areas of Georgetown that have been deemed priority areas by a National Drainage Authority technical team. A sum of $150 million was approved by Cabinet for works in the following areas: the desilting of the Sussex Street drain, desilting of the drain and culverts along the railway embankment from Sheriff Street on the west to the pump station on the east, the clearing of 6 culverts that connect the North Rheinveld and South Rheinveld drainage systems, the clearing of the siphon and attendant drains in the Plum Park Sophia area, repairs to the Meadowbank Sluice and clearing of the Meadowbrook Channel Inlet, repairs to sluices at Agricola, Rome, and Lamaha Street, and clearing of the inlet channels, clearing of drains in the Newtown area. These works we expect will be completed before the May-June rains start, and will be the first in a series of initiatives to be taken by a special task force that was set up by Cabinet to look at the rehabilitation of the drainage systems of the capital city and to execute plans in the short, medium, and long term to prevent flooding of the city in times of heavy rainfalls in the future. Cabinet has approved the appointment of the Board of Directors for the Adoption Board for a period of 1 year. The persons who were appointed to that board are Mr. James Bond, the chairman, Mr. Jeffrey Sankis, Mr. Kashir Khan, Mrs. Clonel Samuels Boston, Mrs. Punila Lachman, Mrs. Patricia Gray, and a representative from the parliamentary opposition. Cabinet has approved the participation of the Ministry of Public Telecommunications in workshops on the Internet of Things, IoT, under the theme Smart Living in the Caribbean and Digital Financial Services, to be held in Trinidad and Tobago from April 24th to the 28th, 2017. The workshop will bring together ICT leaders and technical officers of CARICOM and to begin the development of mechanisms for promoting the concept of the Internet of Things and the full utilization of digital tools to improve the delivery of financial services. The Honorable Catherine Hughes, Minister of Public Telecommunications, will attend the workshop and will deliver a presentation during a panel discussion on privacy and information security, Caribbean requirements and challenges. Mr. Lance Hines, the ICT advisor within the Ministry of Public Telecommunications, will also attend the workshop. Guyana will be represented at the 20th Inter-American Conference of Ministers of Labor of the Organization of American States, to be held in Asunción, Paraguay from April 28th to the 30th, 2017. The conference will, through 5 plenary sessions, address issues such as transition from the informal to the formal economy, labor equality and the elimination of employment discrimination, strengthening of labor laws, social protection and child labor, and strengthening labor administration. Mr. Keith Scott, the minister within the Ministry of Social Protection, will attend the meeting. Cabinet has granted its approval for participation in an Interpol-sponsored I-Arms training program to be held in Buenos Aires, Argentina, from May 30th to 31st, 2017. The training program will discuss matters and address issues regarding the capabilities of firearms. Deputy Superintendent Rafiq Ali of the Guyana Police Force will attend the training course. Guyana will participate in an Interpol-sponsored Operating International Fugitive Roundup, an asset training program to be held in Singapore from May 22nd to the 26th. The training program will equip participants with enabling them to disrupt criminal networks responsible for organized crime and financial crimes, and to locate and arrest fugitives wanted at international levels, as well as criminals who have left their national jurisdictions to evade justice. Inspector Premna Ryan of the Guyana Police Force will attend the training program. And this, of course, continues to be the efforts of the government to ensure that we build capacity within the police force. Cabinet has approved attendance at the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction to be held in Cancun, Mexico, from May 22nd to the 26th, 2017. The Global Platform, to be hosted by the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, will provide the first opportunity for the international community to review global progress in the implementation of the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, which was adopted in Japan in 2015. Colonel Chabila Ramsey, the Director General of the Civil Defense Commission, will attend the platform. Approval was granted for the attendance at a training program on the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, scheduled to be held from May 1st to the 4th in Trinidad and Tobago. The convention, which will be hosted by the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights, will seek to raise awareness among Caribbean government officials about the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Mrs. Talisha Williams, Legal Officer of the Child Care and Protection Agency of the Ministry of Social Protection, will attend the training program. Guyana will be represented at a major conference on science, technology, and innovation in the Caribbean to be held in Trinidad and Tobago from the 3rd to the 4th of May 2017. The conference will seek to identify strategies to strengthen cooperation so that science, technology, and innovation can be used more effectively to promote socio-economic development in the Caribbean. Mrs. Petal Punalal Jetu, National Science Coordinator of NSERD, will attend the conference. Guyana will participate in a 2-week program on monitoring and evaluation of development programs to be held at the Duke University in Durham, North Carolina, from June 11th to the 23rd, 2017. The program will provide capacity building for analysts who manage development programs. Guyana's participation will enhance the capacity within the Project Cycle Management Division and the Office of the Budget of the Ministry of Finance to plan and monitor public sector development projects. Again, the delegation to the program will comprise the following officers from the Ministry of Finance: Mrs. Sabina Savory, Project Cycle Management Division; Mrs. Ronette Tetzberger Murray, Multilateral Financial Institutions Department; Mrs. Dominique Ambrose Charles, the Office of the Budget; and Mrs. Sharon Prasad, the Office of the Budget. Cabinet has noted the award of contracts by the procurement entities and the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board as follows: for the construction of a pedestrian overhead crossing at Diamond East Bank, Demerara Region 4, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, a contract in the sum of $364,727 US, and that contract was awarded to S. Jagmohan Hardware Supplies and Construction Services. You recall that I had previously announced the award of contracts for the construction of overhead crossings at Houston, at Peters Hall, and at Houston, Peters Hall, and Eccles, those three areas. This is an additional overhead crossing that's going to be constructed. Cabinet also gave us an objection for the procurement of 2 vehicles for the Kanawaima ferry service for the Ministry of Public Infrastructure in the sum of $19,440,000, and that contract was awarded to Bihari Automotives Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the issues that were dealt with at Cabinet at its meeting of Tuesday 11th and Tuesday the what? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Yes, and I'm now prepared to take your questions. Well, the white paper is to be laid in the National Assembly, where we expect a robust debate on it, as usual, in the National Assembly. And this follows a process which we've gone through with respect to the situation at Gaisuko. Of course, there was a commission of inquiry into Gaisuko. Subsequently, a special team was put together to look at options for Gaisuko. Thereafter, some options were presented to the government, and at the cabinet level, it was decided that there should be consultation with stakeholders before government takes a decision on the matter. Government did, in fact, lay its opinions, its suggestions on Gaisuko before a stakeholder consultation. That's the stakeholders at that consultation comprise of course, the government, Gaisuko, the opposition, the Guyana Agriculture Workers Union, the National Agriculture Union, that is NASI, as well as representatives from the sugar industry, the estates in Gaisuko. So several meetings were held at the boardroom of the Ministry of Agriculture, and as a result of those consultations, the government's position became a little bit more crystallized. Must be noted that at that consultation, we did in fact ask for any other entities who may have proposals for Gaisuko. As you know, the leader of the opposition has been saying that they have a plan for Gaisuko. So we said, look, put your plan on the table and let us discuss it. But we have nothing from them other than talk up to now. We did in fact receive some proposals from GAU, which were actually taken into consideration in the preparation of the white paper. The white paper now will be debated in the National Assembly, where the opposition will have an opportunity again to go at it. But by and large, the three issues that have been highlighted, and I will not go into too much details into it because it's going to be dealt with at the in the National Assembly, and the white paper will be made public. But in fact, the president did in fact address some of the issues that we are going to have to deal with. One is the fact that the financial and technical evidence presented basically is saying that it is feasible to amalgamate some estates and factories where it is appropriate for better utilization of the nation's resources. That's one. Secondly, it points to the requirement for divestment of some of these facilities. And thirdly, it speaks to utilizing some of the facilities of these estates, particularly the land, to invite sugar workers and cane farmers to undertake agro-based activities on these lands that will become available as a result of that. But these are some of the considerations. There will be greater details in the white paper that is presented in the National Assembly. As you're aware, the Commission of Inquiry report into Gaisuco was presented in the National Assembly, and it is a matter of public record now. The consultations which took place between the government, the opposition, the trade unions, and the workers' representative are matters of public record. Those were public hearings in the Ministry of Agriculture. This here is another attempt at basically engaging all stakeholders in an important decision that has to be made on the sugar industry. The important point that the president did in fact make is that Gaisuco will still be in sugar. Guyana will still be in sugar. That the sugar industry is not being closed down by the government. That based on the financial and economic realities, we have to make some adjustments, and this is what is going to come before the National Assembly.
Adam Harris, sir, what role is the United States playing in this Interpol arrangement that's going to be in Singapore? And I ask you that because when there are fugitives in the U.S., it seems that we can't even get them on.
All right. Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave that there. But it just has about you didn't miss you missed some of it, but not the majority of it. I know some of you at home are probably wondering why you're not hearing the questions from the journalists. I'll have some of the officers at Ministry of the Presidency, in terms of the technical persons there, try to address that, because we'll try as much as possible now to see how much of the post-cabinet press briefing we can bring to you on Facing the Nation. The reason we don't bring it to you every week, because there is, especially, and this is especially for persons who live out of the jurisdiction, there is a channel that actually puts the press conferences out there in its entirety every week. So what happens, sometimes Facing the Nation uses it as a filler, but I know the information really and truly is still necessary for you. And the coverage on these post-cabinet press briefings are really and truly usually wide. So those of you who are now joining, what you would have been seeing there is a part of the government's post-cabinet press briefing that was held at the Ministry of the Presidency yesterday, being Thursday. Of course, these are held every week because they give information to the media and the public at large as to some of the matters that would have been discussed at the earlier cabinet meeting. And those cabinet meetings, government cabinet meetings, are usually on Tuesdays and are attended by the senior ministers of government. Unfortunately, it's coming down to wrap-up time. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank very much Minister of Citizenship. He heads the Department of Citizenship, which falls under the Ministry of the Presidency, the Honorable Winston Felix. Indeed, he gave a whole lot of information, and we'll certainly invite him back because there are other things that we did not discuss. So kudos to him and the Department of Citizenship. I'd always like to remind you that this is one of the new departments that came into being when APNU AFC administration took office, just as in the same way as the Department of Social Cohesion. I know people still trying to figure out, to decipher whether it's a ministry, in both cases, citizenship and social cohesion. People are still trying to decipher whether it's ministry, whether it's a department, but there are actually departments that fall under the Ministry of the Presidency. And with that, I have to take my leave from today's program. I am Malika Ramsey, thanking you very, very much for joining us. I urge you, be good Guyanese citizens, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And of course, look for this program a little later on YouTube and on Facebook. Again, I am Malika Ramsey, and this has been Facing the Nation. Thanks for watching.